All right, well, one of our topics today was really discussing some adjustments that producers might be interested in making in terms of their mineral program for the upcoming grazing season, given that many of our producers throughout Kansas and the Great Plains are facing yet another year of drought. For some of our producers, this is the third year that looks to be extremely dry. Two primary points of concerns we look at mineral programs. Phosphorus is always an important one to talk about, I think, and then vitamin A content of mineral. On the phosphorus side, one of the things we've talked about here at K-State for quite a number of years is maybe really paying closer attention to phosphorus levels in your mineral programs. I mean, for a number of years, we saw the standard 12% phosphorus mineral that a lot of producers would utilize, was kind of the flagship mineral, if you will. One of the things that producers typically don't do is make adjustments in the phosphorus content of the mineral based on either cow needs or forage mineral content, as well as any other supplemental feedstuffs that they might be using. And primarily that's become more of a concern recently in that a lot of our byproduct feedstuffs bring a significant amount of phosphorus to the table, which is all available to the animal that can be utilized. And so there is certainly an opportunity in a lot of situations to reduce the level of phosphorus in the mineral, especially if we're doing some supplemental feeding. Now the picture recently may be changing just a little bit as we look at a grazing season where we may not see a significant green up. Typically our early spring forages are relatively high in phosphorus content. As those forages mature and we reach dormancy through the winter months, phosphorus levels decline. So if we're faced with a situation on our pastures where forage we don't see a lot of green up, phosphorus levels may remain relatively low, and so therefore we may need to look at potentially increasing the phosphorus level in our mineral. Now, when I say increasing, that's from a basal level of, say, somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 to 8% phosphorus in a total mineral program. So we're not really discussing maybe going to that 12% phosphorus in the mineral, but maybe just a modest increase. In most situations during the summer months, a mineral that contains around 8% is kind of a good working number in terms of phosphorus content. On the upper end of production, in terms of lactation potential on a cow, we may look at a 10% phosphorus mineral program. But really, the level of phosphorus in the mineral, in my opinion, is driven by two things. One, what is the phosphorus content of the forage we're consuming? Then we want to take into account any supplemental feeds that we might be feeding. Now onto the vitamin A side of the equation. Vitamin A is primarily found in green forages. So once again, these low quality dormant forages that we built up and fed to cows over the last winter months, relatively low in vitamin A content. And so as we look at a situation where we may not see a lot of green up, those cows may not have the opportunity to replenish their vitamin A stores. Vitamin A is stored in the liver. Those stores will usually last somewhere between 2 to 4 months. So it doesn't take a significant amount of time to deplenish those stores. And so if there's not the opportunity to replenish those, that might be something to definitely look at a mineral program and make sure we've got an adequate amount of vitamin A coming into the program from the mineral side. So if you don't have, check your mineral tag. If it doesn't have vitamin A in it, especially if you're facing another year of drought, that's something you definitely might want to consider getting into your mineral program as soon as possible, especially if we don't see any consumption of green forages here in the near future.